energy doesn't disappear when someone dies. It kind of just stops having a body. So let's have a conversation. Hi, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Lauren. I am your resident intuitive baddie. You've never seen my face before. And before I do this reading, I just want to put little bit of a disclaimer or talk a little bit about what I'm about to read, just because um, I want you to understand where I'm coming from and how I understand energy before I start doing this. So I wouldn't label myself as a medium. I think, honestly, I think everybody has, on some level, mediumship abilities. It just depends on how open you are. Obviously, there are people who are definitely way more gifted or um, way more connected to source and able to easily access passed on energies a lot easier. But um, what I have learned for myself in my journey is that if you are connected to somebody and you are open to seeing signs and you are open to interpreting signs and using certain tools such as what we are using today, tarot, to communicate, that it's you can always communicate. Um, like I had said in the beginning, energy doesn't die, it doesn't disappear. This is a well-known fact from science, is that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It just shifts states. Yeah, so the same way that ice can become water, can become steam. It's the same thing where I believe once we pass, our energy just returns to source and it's just becomes formless. And that's why I believe you can still access the people who, I was going to say left you behind, but they didn't really leave you behind. They're still there. It's just not in the physical form that you're used to. So, um, little background about me if you haven't been following me for long enough. I do have one video up about this, but I have a really special friend that passed. She's the one who introduced me into numerology and kind of, I would say, in a way, did kickstart part of my spiritual journey in that aspect. Understanding numbers as energy and understanding the things that come with it, like astrology and all of that stuff. That was kind of like my gateway. She designed this tattoo for me, and I also got this tattoo for her. It kind of represents her. It represents me too, but she had I was her friend for 2 years before she passed from cancer, and she was just one of the most impactful relationships I had because in her passing, I would get messages from her. I'm not wearing it now, but there's a Nike necklace I have that I attribute to being from her, because basically it was like 6 months after she had passed. I impulse bought it, and then I actually ended up getting two of them. So I was able to return one and then keep the other one for free. So just a lot of encounters like that. Um, times where another time where I was looking for something. She was an artist. The way I met her was she was doing a logo for my dance crew, and I was looking for these branding questions she had sent us, or actually I was looking for branding questions somebody else had sent us, but then her email came up, and it's just like there's just been some synchronicities where I'm just like, this is her. But yeah, at this point, I think she's been passed on 3 times the length of the time that I actually got had her in my life, but like she's still somebody very, very special to me, and she will always be very, very special to me. I will always feel connected to her. And one of the ways that I used to communicate with her, I don't do it too often, is there's a spread by Emerald Lotus Divination. All their spreads are free. Please go check it out if you're into tarot and you want some frameworks and what to read, questions to ask, or yeah, like just different ways to different spreads to do readings on. It's a very, very beautiful resource. And there's one that is connecting with a deceased loved one. So if you are here, I will be connecting to her and anybody, anyone that may be passed on for you that has the same message. So the same way that on YouTube here we have collective readings, I believe that it would be the same on the other side where there are probably collective messages from somebody passed on. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't. At the end of the day, I would also like to just kind of lay out how I see tarot and how I see energy readings through the cards. I believe that we get the cards that are representative of the energies that are around us now. I don't typically use it in a predictive way. The way I see it is like I see the energy now, and then I'm able to kind of build a trajectory of how things could go and give advice based on that, as opposed to predicting the future. But I mean, everybody kind of sees it a different way. But however it resonates to you is perfectly beautiful, and if it doesn't, it's not your reading. Don't come for me. But yeah, that was just my little disclaimer, and I will switch views now so that you can see the cards. The Light Seers Tarot. It's the deck that I am just the most comfortable with. It's been a little bit since I have actually done a reading, so bear with me. um, Before we get started, something that I like to do is I like to kind of shake up my stones. Oh, okay, that's one of them. I I use them to kind of lay out the border of the frame so that I don't have to constantly look at the camera. I just kind of shake it up, and it kind of gives me an idea of, I guess, some energies for the read. So that one is rose quartz. So rose quartz typically has to do with love. This is green adventuring. Has to do with luck, money. It's a very heart-centered kind of stone. All right. We have chrysocolla, which is a stone about communication. Connects to your throat chakra. And I believe this is moonstone. So beautiful thing about this is I met one reader who he has like a huge bag of stones, and when he does a reading, he gets the person he's reading to choose a stone specifically so that that stone reminds them of that reading, which I think is such a great concept. And I wish I had a big bag of stones so that I could do the same in the future. We'll get there. All right, so I will link off the actual spread, but we will be pulling 5 cards to represent what your loved one wants to say. So, first card is a card to represent the loved one who has passed. Next, we are pulling a message this loved one wants to give you. already flipped over. I was gonna do the thing where I like flip them over. Okay, so I'm gonna do this first. Oh, okay, beautiful. All right. The next card is something this loved one believes is important for you to know. Oh, we got two cards. They're sideways. I'm gonna take them upright. Next, how the loved one is doing on the other side. And lastly, how your loved one will communicate with you in the future. Okay, let's get into this. So the first card is to represent this loved one that passed. Six of Cups. Oh, let me just make sure that this is all even out because my brain, when I watch this video back, is going to scream at me. All right, so for the first card, we have the Six of Cups. So the Six of Cups represents typically like somebody from your past, somebody you had a really loving connection with. What I love about this particular Six of Cups is they represent it with the dog, and you know, like a dog is your a man's best friend. So when and a golden retriever out of all dogs, I think, is one of the most friendliest companions that you could have. So as you can see, it's somebody who it's it shows this person as a child with the puppy into a man, and the dog is a grown adult as well. So what it kind of says is like this is somebody who has kind of been with you on your journey. It doesn't necessarily have to be from childhood. I know that it's not true for me, but it's somebody who has been walking with you on this path. And what that kind of says to me as well is like they're still walking on this path with you. Because I know that's very much true for myself. As I said in the beginning, I am at a point now where she has been, my friend has been passed much longer than I had even known her. So, um, just seeing the cups laid out here, it just represents that, you know, she's always with me, and that would be the same for the loved one that is in on your mind. Next, the message that they this loved one wants to give you, or give us, I guess, rather, uh, the Queen of Cups. So the Queen of Cups is representative of, I want to say, out of all the queens, is the highest embodiment of the feminine, just because the Queen of Cups are all about emotions. The Queen of Cups is somebody who leads by their emotions and is very masterful, very in touch with their emotions. And when you're in touch with your emotions, you're very much in touch with your manifestation energy as well. Um, uh, so, like going back to the spread, what I'm saying, or what this energy is giving me, is that they are seeing you as the Queen of Cups. They are seeing you as somebody who is really in touch with their emotions right now. Um, you might have been somebody who was ruled over their emotions before, and I think I think whoever I'm reading for, I think your past loved one. I'm gonna just say loved one from now on. uh, I think your loved one kind of wants to highlight this for you. They want to highlight just how far you've come in yourself, and how beautiful it is that you're able to be in touch with your emotions this way. You might have been somebody who was closed off before. I'm seeing the Queen of Swords in my mind. Um, and just somebody who's like a swift communicator, but at the same time, they're very cold. Sometimes can even be labeled as bitchy. I don't know if that's upright or in reverse, but that's one of the associations that I tie with that. So you on your journey, you have worked really hard to get here. And it may even be possible that part of this becoming had to happen through letting go of this person and being able to I don't want to say understand, but like just come to terms with their passing. And even the fact that you're here watching this video now is very, very telling of, I guess, how you understand energy, and how, that you understand that connecting to your intuition and connecting to the unseen, you're in doing that, you're able to connect with them still. So yeah, I'm just like, all I can feel is just like proudness, proudness that you are able to be compassionate and just so intuitive and so emotionally stable. Yes. All right, moving on. So something this loved one thinks is important for you to know right now. We have the Star card as well as the Seven of Pentacles. This resonates so much. So you are somebody who is meant to be seen. You are meant to do big things. The star represents somebody, um, I mean, like, you can even just see it in the imagery here. It's like somebody wishing on a star, but she's connected. She is just, she's just connected to, I want to say, like, a purpose that's meant to be fulfilled. Like, I love how this star, it's just like up here you have these rings of the universe. There's all this purple. Um, like, you're somebody who's very in tune with your higher consciousness. But yeah, like the star all is all, exactly what it sounds like as well. Like, you're meant to be a star. You're meant to be seen and viewed by people for this purpose. And we have the Seven of Pentacles here as well, which is representative of somebody who is waiting for something to grow, who has planted seeds and is in the phase of just like viewing them sprout. Like, what I love about the imagery here is just like, you see what's sprouting. It's, the sprouting has started. And it seems small. It seems like it's so little, but underneath you see the roots, and the pentacles are within the roots because you've spent this time waiting for the roots to lay down. Um, if anybody here follows Jadina, she put out a video about, I think it was like a week or so ago, and she was talking about, she made this analogy with a seed, and she was talking about the process a seed has to go through to even sprout. Because like, even this, like, it just, you don't just put the seed in the ground and it just starts sprouting. Like, the seed has to absorb water. The conditions have to be right for it to be able, like, it can, like, temperature wise, for example, you plant the seed in the winter, it's not going to sprout in the winter, it's going to sprout in the spring. It's going to sprout when there's enough water, where the temperature is right, where the soil is fertile. Like, um yeah, so this card has a lot to do with timing, because it also is very representative of the fact that you have to wait, and or you've been waiting. In the original tarot, the imagery is of somebody, um like they're like they're like leaning on their shovel because they're waiting for the things that they planted to grow. But yeah, I really like this imagery because it's, again, very, um yeah, it just relates so lovely to Jadina's comparison, or like her explanation of like the seed. So together, what this is saying is, this road to being a star is something that is starting to sprout now. It's something that you're starting to really see for yourself. You might be having synchronicities that are just very telling, or like very confirmative, that you're on the right path, and that, this is something that's meant for you, whether it be like in a more literal sense, where you're, um, maybe being viewed more on social media, or if it's in a particular field where you're just being known and recognized for your work. um, there is remnants of this coming in. You just have more eyes on you, and I believe that this is important, or why your loved one wants to highlight this, is because if you're feeling any doubts, if you're feeling scared, if you feel like you've been waiting too long, to just be patient with yourself, and to really lean into this star energy, because it's meant for you. And them being now connected with, back in connection with source, they're able to see, and they're one of your guides, so they want you to continue. Yeah. Well, all right, let's continue on with the spread on that note. So, how your loved one is doing on the other side. Page of Swords. So pages are kind of like a childlike energy. They're it's like a new energy, almost want to say. Swords are all about thinking as well. So this loved one is getting to explore new ideas, um, and absorb some knowledge as well. I mean, to return to source is to return to being part of oneness, to being part of the all knowing. So it is possible. So personally, what I believe when it comes to passing is, I believe that what happens is that we return to source, and we kind of get to review our lives, past lives. I don't know how many past lives. And then we also get to like hang out, and kind of continue to guide those that we left behind. That's just my theory, my interpretation. There's this person I used to watch. I can't remember. I think her name is Christina, but I don't remember much past that. And she had spoke about this whole cycle where it's like you go into like the review process, and then at some point you get to just like hang out there as long as you want, and then when you're ready to go back again, then you choose your life, you lay out the life that you want to play out, and then you go back, and then you go through the forgetting and all of that. So um yeah, with the Page of Swords, it's like, if your loved one might be just absorbing whatever happened in their lifetime. I think it's also new ways of communicating. So they might be playing around with ways that they are communicating with, maybe not just you, but anybody else that was important to them, that they want to communicate with. Um, with that, I'm getting not everyone that they left behind is like you. If they were into spirituality, if um whether you got into it, you were that was something you shared, or that was something you got into maybe after their passing, there are people in their life that weren't as receptive, and they are looking for different ways to connect with them in the physical. I'm really drawn to the wind that's around her, because it's, yeah, it just signifying the unseen. Because yeah, like those who pass on are like wind, where we can't see them, but there are instances where we feel them. And like I was saying in the very beginning, like there are tons of ways that people who have passed on can communicate with us. It can be through gifts. A lot of the times it can be through animals, insects, birds, things like that. It could be as simple as a song that you both loved, or that represents the connection you had with them, and that coming on the radio or something at a time that you need to hear it. There's just so many signs and synchronicities, but not everybody sees it that way. A lot of people, when somebody passes, they believe that if they're going to be communicated with, that it must come in a dream, or that they're going to see them in some way, because of course that's what we're used to. We were used to connecting with them physically, or like in a physical sense, where we could see them, we could touch them, we could talk to them, hear their voice. But that the way that they come through once they're on the other side is very different and very personal. But if you're somebody who isn't open to believing in that, or open to seeing the signs, just the same way that like we get signs and synchronicities just from spirit in general, if you're not willing to see them, then they're going to pass you by, and you're just going to go on in life thinking that they're not communicating with you when they could be trying to communicate with you very loudly. So I guess what I'm getting is that on the other side right now, they have been looking at different ways that they can communicate with the people that they love, that they left behind, that um that maybe they are not having the easiest time communicating with. And maybe it was like that in their physical reality too, when they were here. Um but yeah, moving on. So the last card represents how your loved one will communicate with you in the future. I will take this as a near future, because, of course, every time I do this spread, it's a different card, or like a different way, right? So we have the Nine of Wands here, which is very, very interesting, because the Nine of Wands represents somebody who's kind of just like at the end of their journey. They are exhausted from putting up boundaries, from carrying. It's like somebody who is just, because they're at that near, they're just so close to the end of their journey. It's a test of fate. And yeah, it's somebody who has been going through so much that they start to put up boundaries. So, you know what it's it's kind of giving to me in this imagery specifically. She has the other wands built as her barrier, as her protection, but she's got this one, the biggest one, and it's lit, it's connected to source, it's got that fire energy with it, because wands are connected to fire, it's connected to passion, to action. And what it's kind of giving to me is like the times that they're going to come through for you the most is when it feels like you're in a space where, I don't want to say that you're about to give up, but where like you're almost at the threshold of where you're trying to get to be. It kind of brings me back to these cards, and specifically the Seven of Pentacles, this waiting, because you on your journey, you might have felt like you've been on this journey for a long time, and it's just like you've had to go through so many obstacles, and you've had to be really persistent to get there, and it's just like you just might be very, very tired right now. You might be going through bouts of exhaustion, um and it's like they are saying that they are going to show up most when you need them. And when you need them is when you need that little push of guidance, that little voice that tells you keep going, you're almost there, because that's when you need them the most. They're always with you, but they will come through the strongest when it feels like you're about to collapse, is what kind of is ringing through. um yeah, and it's interesting for me because the reason why I'm doing this spread is yesterday I was at a friend's house, and he gave me this book that kind of describes the different ways you can look at tarot spreads, and it gives you some different tarot spreads. And he told me to just flick through it and just see what I need right now. And when I opened it to a page that was talking about spreads that are guided by somebody who's passed on. And it was actually interesting because I had gotten in a channeled message that I was watching a couple days prior, that somebody that passed on really wants to communicate with me as well. So that's why I'm doing this spread, and I figured I might as well share it because yeah, there's probably other people who this will resonate with and who also need to connect with their loved ones. So thank you so much for, if you got to the end of this reading, for listening to me. Thank you for sharing this moment and trusting me to connect with your guides as I connect with mine. If you would like, if you are interested in one-on-ones, you can find my email in the description and gladly book a one-on-one with me. Otherwise, thank you again for listening, and until next time, goodbye.